We help contractors by the hundreds with all of the administrative burdens that surround handling their construction projects. That means helping them with exactimate estimating, working with them on all the administration of their supplements, and doing the administrative services back office work that enables them to focus on selling, building, and billing.
We see contractors just starting off, maybe they're struggling with the fundamentals of running a construction business. They partner up with us, their process is now defined, they're able to grow their profit margins and actually scale because they're not held back with the burden of dealing with the supplementing process. I feel proud of what we've been able to do in this industry.
This is Larry Bache with the Merlin Law Group, helping policyholders for more than 30 years. If you have a claim or your client has a claim that needs help, please feel free to call the Merlin Law Group because we are the true policyholder advocate.
C3 was eager to help us, and even whenever we weren't giving them work, they were still eager to give advice. The things that they were putting out for for changing from DMO to RFG and giving that to the industry and not charging anything for it, I thought was really cool. And that's stuff that I, as a contractor, appreciate. I'd recommend C3 to any contractor who's looking for a PA, especially if you're around Colorado. Great guys, man. I'm nothing but happy with the work they've done for us.
What's up, everybody? It is lead meteorologist John Choquette here for our daily hail forecast on this first day of June, official start of hurricane season. So we are going to throw up our hurricane forecast that a few of you probably saw at our Orlando forecast event way back in, was it February? And thanks as always, Merlin Law Group, C3 Group, and Arsenal and Balance Claims for sponsoring our videos. As always, you can check them out in the description below if you're watching us here on Facebook. Our pages are linked in that description. And got a couple weather headlines for today. The forecasters say for hail is pretty minimal. However, tomorrow, as our first real hail threat for Minneapolis for the year, it looks like we actually could see some pretty significant hail possible for them. It's the start of hurricane season. We already might be getting to the Cristobal, the third named storm of the year. Here we are at the actual start. So we got a bit of a head start. See what that has in store for the rest of the year. And check out our continuing 10-year anniversary special series. Tomorrow we're going to have an episode. I'm sure a lot of you folks have gotten reports from her or seen her on these videos. The Hail Princess herself, Heather Kay's video, is going to be on Tuesday, 6:45 p.m. Central Time. Of course, that is subject to change in the event that there are storms going on. We can kind of shift around when that'll be live on all the main platforms that you guys watch us on. So tentatively tomorrow, June 2nd, 6:45 p.m. So check that out. Forecast for today for hail. No severe hail. I'm not expecting additional. There has been some storms up here in northern Minnesota not too long ago. Had upwards a quarter, $50. I think I saw a tennis ball report out in the rural areas. I'll have to confirm whether or not that is legitimate, but there was a storm. This is expected to die off pretty quickly in Wisconsin. Other than that, I think things are going to be pretty quiet today for hail. For wind, though, there is that outside chance we could see some storms over in the south central part of Montana. Wind gusts maybe upwards of 65 miles an hour possible here, anywhere from Bozeman down to Billings. Chances are a good chunk of these storms are going to be over the prairie lands here in Montana. So not a crazy day for storms across the United States. Looking at that future radar here for the northwest, and you see some storms forming in Montana. Not a big deal. The main story for, I think, the next few days is going to be tomorrow's forecast. This is for Tuesday now, where we have right now already a moderate chance for hail from the Minneapolis area. I'm saying upwards of maybe tennis ball size hail is possible. Looks like we're going to see storms forming in western Minnesota up through possibly near Minneapolis. Pretty explosive development, a lot of instability in the air, and that could have some really big hail with it. Could see some hail as far to the west as maybe Rapid City and sections of a good chunk of Nebraska here. The hail sizes, I think, are going to be a little bit smaller with this, and then there's an outside chance you could see a couple storms make it as far south as Omaha and Des Moines. However, I think the majority of this activity is going to be off to your north in Minnesota and parts of South Dakota. We could also see some storms over by Chicago and by Detroit. This is going to be very late on Tuesday after these storms kind of move past. They're going to keep pushing towards Lake Michigan, so might be near daybreak on Wednesday for the storms near Chicago and Detroit. And the hail sizes are come down a lot as the wind threat increases as these storms push off to the east. So we will see how that plays out for the Minneapolis area tomorrow. We'll get more updates with that. And there's the future radar here showing what we've been talking about with that potential for those storms, explosive development in the late afternoon hours. Could see some pretty big hail and then probably some very gusty winds going to Wisconsin as these storms turn into more of a wind producer versus a hail producer. And we'll have to keep an eye on stuff further to the south towards Nebraska as well. So today's pretty quiet, but tomorrow looks more likely to be a bit more of a busy hail day. Looking ahead to Wednesday, a pretty big hail risk here across the country. Everywhere from maybe Denver to Rapid City could see some hail, and also some chance of storms maybe by KC, St. Louis, Chicago, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, all the way to the East Coast. So Wednesday could have quite a bit of activity spread out across the country. Doesn't look like a crazy big hail day, not like a high-end risk or anything, but I think a lot of areas are going to be at risk for your Wednesday. Pushing forward to Thursday, I think there will also be storms somewhere here in the east. It's a little unclear right now, so the most clear area is going to be over by Sioux Falls, South Dakota, possibly into Minnesota again. So I think a lot of the northern plains is suddenly turning on out of nowhere here. So June's going to be starting off way off to the north. And then on Friday, I think there's going to be storms as well in the east. However, it's a little unclear. The most clear area looks like we could see some storms here across the Colorado Front Range on Friday, as we have a pretty big system kicking out through the Rocky Mountain area, and that's going to trigger possibly some storms off of the mountains. So again, Friday we could see some stuff returning in the Denver area. So hopefully we can get some big storms in Denver. I know a lot of folks are starting to get a little impatient here as we're getting into June, and we'll see. Again, this is the time of year where sometimes we can even see storms on days where we're not expecting anything in Denver. As long as it's warm and there's just enough instability, usually you can get storms to form if the wind blows the right way. So that's what we're looking at through Friday. And now a tropical check-in. So before we get into our forecast that we have for the year, this is the most recent satellite here across the parts of Mexico, and the Yucatan Peninsula is right here. So there's Cancun, and you got the Gulf of Mexico right there. This area of cloudiness could turn into a tropical storm Cristobal in the next 48 hours. The Hurricane Center says there's about an 80% chance of development once this gets off of the coast. And this is going to kind of meander around, possibly get back into Mexico again, loop around, and then go up into the Gulf going into next week. We were looking up earlier today, the earliest landfalling hurricane the United States has seen is June 9th. So if this were to turn into a hurricane or anything and actually head towards the U.S., that would be making history, because it'd probably be the 7th or the 8th when it'd be getting close to the coast. So chances are this probably isn't going to be that big of a deal. However, it means we're already we might end up being at the third named storm of the year on the first official day of the hurricane season. So this was from our Orlando forecast. I didn't change anything. I just brought up what I did in February. And so we were predicting 16 named storms. The average is about 12, 7 hurricanes, and 3 majors. So this isn't landfalling, of course. This is just in general what it will be possible for forming. And I'm realizing after now everyone else has done their hurricane forecasts, and this is the first time we're having it on a video here, that my number is actually kind of low compared to the official forecast, compared to some of the more reliable sites. So the 6 team could actually be maybe 18 or 20. 7 hurricanes could be 8 or 9. Major hurricanes could be at least 4. So it looks like we're going to be in for a very busy year for the hurricane season. Again, we're already 2 deep. Could end up being 3 deep by the time we're at the end of this week. So we'll have to kind of, obviously, we'll keep an eye on everything. Many hurricanes doesn't necessarily translate to lots of landfalling hurricanes. You could have a year with only 5 hurricanes, but all 5 make landfall, and it's a very busy year. Or you could have a year with 20 hurricanes and 0 make landfall, and it seems like it's quiet. So that's what makes hurricane season a little trickier. But it really looks like there's going to be quite a bit of activity, and the thing that could lean towards more landfalls is it looks like the most focused area of development might be near the Gulf of Mexico and over by the Bahamas on the far western reaches of the Atlantic Ocean. So those closer to the U.S. hurricanes would have a much higher chance of impacting. So it could be a pretty wild year. 2020 has already been pretty crazy for the whole variety of things, and the hurricane season might be jumping into the mix here, possibly very early as well. So that's what we have for our hurricane forecast and what we're expecting for storms this week. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, hit see first, all that great stuff so you don't miss any of our posts, any of our little special series here, any live coverage, of course. Follow our Instagram and our Twitter at HailTrace as well. And go ahead and give us a call at 855-334-4245 with any comments, questions, or concerns you may have. Or if you need to set up a training, you're new to HailTrace, whatever it may be, just give us a call. You can email us as well at info@hailtrace.com if you don't feel like talking on the phone, or visit our website for more details at hailtrace.com. Thanks for tuning in on this Monday, guys, and we'll be back again tomorrow. We'll give that full breakdown of what we're expecting for the Minneapolis area for hail on Tuesday and do those hail dances. Maybe we'll have some live coverage as well. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again tomorrow.